over here.
It's been pretty precipitous, actually. It's kind of a shame. Don't really want to launch into that right now, but hey, good Tuesday morning, everyone. How the heck are you doing? It's good to see you. Welcome, welcome, one and all. I think I have more of my regular viewership in today's test game than I will have in the audience, but hey, we'll cope. It'll be fun. Welcome back to the Crazy Gibberish. It's good to see you all. Today, I have the Legion of Doom gaming panel with me here. Now, it's interesting, and I'm not casting shade. I'm just saying that this happened. Hello, Damien. Good to see you.
I'm hearing great crazy gibberish in the background here.
But one of the things that you have to be ready for as a dungeon master when you start your game is that you get people who are ready to play, and they're committed to playing, but then you have last minute things pop up that just it makes them unavailable for the game. And that's what happened today. So we're going to be a trio of adventurers and a dungeon master, as opposed to a quartet of adventurers and a dungeon master. And we will welcome our wayward player back with open arms. Yes, IR, we're doing this now, not later this afternoon. Hello, just a passerby. But we're going to go ahead and do this thing now and get started with some first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Now, if you're not familiar with the premise that I set up, and by the way, you're not going crazy. Discord is being a giant pain in the hinder, so I am just the Grimorley logo on screen right now instead of you seeing my smiling face. But if you're not familiar with the premise that I've set up, so I basically spent a good chunk of the summer into the autumn talking to you guys about how to play first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of theory crafting, a fair dollop of house ruling and interpretation of rules. And it occurred to me that you can tell people how to, but showing people how to can be a little bit more interesting and enlightening. And plus, it's an excuse during the middle of the day to goof off and play some AD&D. So, with that in mind, I threw out a sign-up sheet, as it were, for volunteers. And I have this illustrious group in front of me today. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to kick off a campaign. Now, in these terms, a campaign is a series of linked adventures, encounters, explorations, and so on, that will maintain a continuity from session to session and player continuity from session to session. And we'll see as we go along, for example, when the player who couldn't be here today joins next week, how you manage players coming in and going out, or maybe adding new players, or a player having to step out permanently. But that's what we're going to be doing today. And with that in mind, I think I'm going to go around the table and let our players tell us their character classes and names and so on. So just for familiarity's sake, we'll start with Rusty Schaefer up there in the upper right. Circle gets the square. Go ahead, Rusty. Tell us all about it.
Okay. All right. So before the session, I went to Dragon's Foot, where they have a first edition AD&D character generator, and I picked like the 4d6, keep the 3 best, and ended up rolling up a fighter thief gnome, Linric Reedbrook.
Alrighty, and over to you guys told me I could call you by your real names, and they've already left my Swiss cheese brain. Come on, man, you know the thing. So, Jamp,
James. Yes. You had me roll up my character over the weekend, so I came up with a ranger, half-elf ranger. His name is Callum Chris Notendra. His nickname is Cal. Everybody just calls him Cal.
All right. Cal Nintendo. Gotcha. All right. And let me see if I can do this now. It's Mark, right? Can I get it?
Mark.
Mark, yay! Woohoo! All right, Mark. What do you roll?
I did a 46 drop lowest, and everything was going well until I got a 5 at the bottom. So I tried to figure out what to do with it, and I decided to just lean into it. Half-orc assassin. With a very low charisma.
Nice.
No good name yet, but I don't know. Fang. Let's just go with that.
Fang, the half-orc assassin,
Yes.
has entered the group.
And,
All right.
And I'm old school. I got a piece of paper, so I'm going to have to write the name on now. It's official. Fang.
Well, I mean,
okay. We got a gnome, a half elf, and a half orc. This is awesome.
Yeah. So torches are not going to be a big to buy
issue.
item. Yeah. So, hey, Fang, it's a little more creative than going with male orc or mork.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So let's have a quick gander over on Facebook. No comments on Facebook yet. As is usually the way. It's often very quiet on Facebook, but so let's jump right into this. Gentlemen, being adventure seekers and pilferers and knobby-kneed demi-humans, you have found yourselves in the city of Greyhawk, the storied city of Greyhawk. Looking for rumors of treasure and adventure, you've come to the most populous and opportune place to find such things in the entire Flayaness. Wild rumors abound the city about adventurers who disappear only to return a month later laden with gems, jewelry, and magic items of note. Usually, the stories have it, they venture to the nearby Castle Greyhawk and its environs. The storied castle is a haunted place, a place full of great evils and wondrous treasure. Once the domain of Zagig the Mad, he fled, and some say he was subsumed by great gods that he offended with his magical experiments and pranks. So the storied place stood unoccupied, and over time, groups of doughty adventurers have explored its inner workings. Many, indeed most, have never returned from those depths. Still others, like the group rumored to have explored it most recently, have come back with a king's ransom and treasure. Being young adventurers yourselves, thinking that perhaps you can scrape by a little of that if they left perhaps a niche unexplored here or there, you might find yourselves with more money than you know what to do with. And it is to this that you go to the inn where these famous adventurers were purported to base themselves, the Dancing Werebear. But alas, other than lesser hanger-ons who seem to be seeking their advice as well, they don't appear to be here. Although walking amongst the tables, as if he's stopping and examining each of them, sometimes conversing with one or more of the occupants, is a tall, rough, well-appointed looking man with a short, bushy black beard, sharp mustache, and a keen look in his eye. And as he sees you walk in, he beckons to you, almost like he was expecting you, and gestures to a table near the door. "Ah, yes, my friends, come right in. Have a seat."
Cal looks at the table and looks at the fellow and slowly makes his way to one of the seats.
Linric happily follows along.
Fang does that. Looks around like, you was talking to me? What? And then carefully sits down back against the wall.
All right. That's a little difficult to do as your table is sort of in the middle of the room away from it. But
then Fang is nervous.
all right. Back to the floor. All right. He sits down and introduces himself as one Lord Robilar. Now, you've heard his name. It's been attached to stories of danger, treachery, adventure. Indeed, he is rumored to be one of the many powers behind ongoings in the city and environs of Greyhawk itself. Whether this man is some mad imposter, or in fact the Robilar, you have no idea. But he seems affable enough, orders a pitcher of mead or glasses of wine or small beers as your characters prefer. And as he makes pleasant but banal conversation, he seems to be sizing you all up. So, I can see you're above the common stock, just roaming around looking for a bargain in the markets or to pray at a temple. What brings your lot to the city of Greyhawk?
We've heard legends about massive amounts of treasure in the ruins north of the city.
Really?
Just leave it, see what he says.
Cal just stares at him, observing his actions to see if he's trustworthy or not.
He does not. He gives off an air of reliability, but not necessarily trustworthiness. Something of a rogue he seems to be, but he nods, strokes his beard, and says, yes. Yes, there are treasures in the ruins northwest of the city, if by which you mean Castle Greyhawk.
Indeed.
And also death. Death awaits the unwary in those halls. Would you dare enter them, knowing that before you took your 7th step, you might be reduced to a puddle of jelly and scooped up and held in some wizard's test tube for the next 1,000 centuries? Or reduced to ash by some undetected trap that belches out a gout of flame? Or hacked to bits and roasted on spits by orc or hobgoblin kind?
Cal bristles at the mention of orcs and hobgoblins.
Sounds like a good test to get the strong from the weak.
Linric's going to ask in his melodic little gnome voice. I'm not going to try and replicate, but he asks, "Oh, so Lord Robilar, you seem to know much about the perils of said Castle Greyhawk. Have you explored its ruins yourself?"
I'm no stranger to those halls. I myself was once young like you, and I traipsed through those dark, lightless galleries.
Perhaps you'd show us your map, the map you made as you explored the ruins.
He laughs and taps the temple of his head and says, "It's all up here, young gnome. It's all up here. Not, mind you, that I recommend such a method of finding one's way in that mazy place is the thing to do. Quite the contrary. One must always keep good maps when entering that place. But I can see that my concerns will do nothing to dissuade you. Let old Robilar give you a piece of advice. other than the very floor beneath your feet. If you are unsure of its function, touch nothing in Castle Greyhawk. And if it seems too good, too unreal to be true, it likely is. And when you go to the castle ruin, tempting and safe though they may seem, avoid the towers at all costs. Make straight for the underground passages. The towers themselves are storied to be places of powerful magic, deadly traps, cold, impersonal killing machines, animated statues that could crush the life out of you with a squeeze of their single inhuman hand.
Thanks for the advice. Anything else you can tell us about the castle? Maybe, in the types of inhabitants you've come across as you've explored.
There are as many creatures and beings in the Castle Greyhawk dungeons as there are hairs on your head, good gnome. Most malevolent, some benign, and the occasional rare one actually helpful.
Well, we shall come and celebrate our winnings here in this very inn.
Robillard
Hope you can be there.
Robillard leans in over his mug and says, if you're determined to go there, I will perchance make a small investment in your adventuring group, if you will allow it.
Here's the rub.
But of course. He reaches into his cloak and sets a dark crystal vial on the table and says, this draft contains within it a potion that can revitalize and fix all hurts and injuries to you. 3 drafts it holds. One may consume them all, one may consume 2 of them, or simply one of them. But if you should all find yourselves in a bit of a scrape, nicked up a bit, there's enough for each of you. Bring me a map of the upper works and say 10% of what you bring from the dungeons, treasure-wise, and I will consider it an appropriate return on this investment.
10% in a map.
Fang swears a lot, but does not like 10%.
Of course, he reaches out for the vial slowly and says, if you have a good supply of clean bandages and a sense of direction in the under-earth, you need not Robillar's assistance.
Cal glances at the other two as if, what do you think, guys?
Fang continues to swear. I didn't say I didn't want the deal. As he reaches for the vial. So.
All right, we'll take it.
Well then, he reaches into another pocket in his vestment and unfolds a piece of parchment and says, I like to make angel investments in small adventuring groups, so I keep such documents handy. And surely enough, there's a rather standard-looking charter with lines for you all to sign.
Some Willy Wonka contract.
What is it written in? What language is it written in?
It's written in common.
Okay.
I hope none of you used int as your dumb stat.
May I peruse this contract?
Of course. And
Okay,
the
I'll take
contract it's very brief, and it
Okay.
states as it says that the first party, Lord Robilar, hereafter named Benefactor, promises to provide some small assistance to the adventurers for their foray or forays into Castle Greyhawk for the sum of 10% of all treasures brought forth from the dungeons in exchange for this aid and assistance. And then there's just a spot that says, "We so the undersigned agree."
I want to clarify something with Robilar. What's the like the terms on this? Is this for like one foray into the dungeon, like we're agreeing to, or are we like under contract for however many visits we make, or what? I'd like to clarify it.
Well,
Yes, what are the terms?
Well, the terms are in the contract, but let us just say that when or if you successfully return, the contract could be extended, and my aid could be increased. Of course, if you don't come back at all or elect to not return and repay me for my investment, well, I suppose there's nothing I can do about that. And as to your question, no, of course not. You need not sign it in blood. It makes a mess.
I would like him to handwrite in though something about this is for one expedition to the dungeon. This is not like a lifetime. We always owe him 10%.
He holds up his hands and as if in supplication and says, of course, I wouldn't dream of holding you to the contract except for the terms so discussed." He makes a note accordingly with his quill, which he then offers to each of you.
Cal signs it.
All right.
Fang
Limerick
signs it,
signs.
big X.
All right. And I need all of you to give me a save versus spells, please.
Oh boy.
And so it begins.
So it begins. It begins.
A big 8.
A big 8. That's not going to do it.
I got a 17.
All right.
I got a 7.
All right.
Your
So
characters.
Cal and Fang, in your heart of hearts, you are absolutely positively going to bring Robilar what he asks for. This man is eminently reasonable, and what he has asked is absolutely... you wouldn't dream of not bringing him 10% and a map. He tucks the contract away and says, will you be departing forthwith? It's perhaps a day and a half ride to Castle Greyhawk.
Perhaps we need to gather a few provisions before we set out.
Of course. Do see Bungo's Provender by the main city gate. He's an associate of mine, and just tell him Robilar sent you, and any equipment you need will be provided within reason.
That's his name.
Bungo.
What was his name? Bungo.
Bungo. Bungo. Bungo.
So he's going to equip us?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
We'll head that way, I suppose.
Alrighty. So, of course, the city itself is a crowded, bustling place, and we'll just say it's high noon. You had a wonderful luncheon with Lord Robilar.
How far is it to the castle?
It's a day and a half's ride. And Fang, you pass. Well, let me see. There's a few rakes hanging around with someone who's obviously their ostensible leader. He has a long sword on his hip, black leather armor. They kind of regard you. And one of them calls out. One of them calls out as you're walking by. Make sure your little boy doesn't fall in the sewer grating. And they think this is hilarious. Probably directed at the gnome.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious. I laugh.
Okay.
I'm gonna give him like a double bird, like flip him off.
All right.
Like I'm not gonna say anything. Just
Cal just shakes his head and continues.
Oh, yeah. Peals of laughter. They are the tall dark fellow with him doesn't say anything, but he does chuckle and sneer as you're walking past, and one of the rakes calls out and says, "That's not good manners. You won't get a lolly," and other such taunts.
Yeah. So Lindren's going to like kind of cup his junk, like tug it, be like, you want something to lick on, buddy. Speaking of lollipops,
Got your lolly right here.
Yeah, got your lolly right here, buddy.
Yeah, they sneer and mock you and gesture back, but nothing comes of it. They don't they don't make anything of it. So it's a brief walk back towards the city gate, and just as you saw when you had entered the city of Greyhawk, you passed when you came in, and you now see Bungo's Traveling Emporium, which it's a building, so you can only presume that the traveling refers to the type of item sold and not the fact that itself moves. It's your typical open storefront. There's a horse stable next to it, stout riding horses and so on. And he seems to have pretty much whatever items you wish to purchase within reason.
Cal looks at Lenric. Will you be riding with one of us, or will you need your own pony?
He kind of like looks away. He's turning red a little bit, and he like shakes it off, and he's like, "I could manage riding with one of you."
Yeah, you just need a saddlebag or something for him.
Tuck him in a saddlebag or a backpack.
Yeah, a quiver. Just tuck him in a quiver.
No, a riding dog.
Yeah.
There you go. Unfortunately, they don't have any riding dogs. So. Sorry.
Just Fang's speech is usually lots of swearing, so you have to imagine that.
Okay.
Who's going to keep watch of the horses when we're in the castle? I'm not staying out with the horses. We need to hire someone to watch the horses for us.
Well, I suppose we'll have to look around.
That'll have to come out of pocket. Do you guys wish to hire hirelings?
How long will we be staying at this castle, Greyhawk? How long do you expect us to be adventuring inside? I'm asking the other two.
Yeah, don't ask me.
Yeah, I don't know I have no idea what to expect. So let's
we have to map the upper grounds. We can keep our horses, but if we go inside, we could hope the horses don't get killed or taken.
do we DM, do we have a sense of like how perilous, like the kind of outdoor travel is? Like, do we get a sense that it's super dangerous to leave the horses?
Within a day of the city of Greyhawk, our day's ride, you're still passing hamlets and farms and so on. Once you get out towards the Great Marshes, towards the northwest where the castle is, it can get pretty dangerous pretty quickly. I mean, there were rumors when you arrived at the city, and indeed there were people who said they saw a band of adventurers enter the city carrying the parts of dragons, plural, with them.
Whoa. Okay. So basically what I'm hearing, like, we tie up the horses. Even if we hired someone to watch the horses, they're likely to get killed too. So it's just like,
Perhaps
if we're going to kill the horses, the watcher's going to get killed too, is my point.
Perhaps we could ride the horses to one of the nearby hamlets and pay to have them kept there until we return from the castle.
Love it.
Excellent. I'll go check on horses and see what we can acquire.
Okay, so for riding horses, just light riding horses, they have them. They have draft horses, heavy and light war horses, a medium war horse. But the most common stock he's got are just light riding horses.
Okay.
And those are 25 gold pieces each. Again, you seem to Bungo or his agents there. You haven't quite asked names yet, but most of what they have are draft horses and light riding horses. He's got one of each type of war horse, but he's not unless you pay him for them. It's like Robilar's credit is good, but it's not that good, not with me.
Now, perhaps a draft horse and a cart, even if we're going to be dragging back dragon parts or large amounts of treasure.
That's probably a good idea.
I'll inquire about a draft horse and a cart.
All right. So yes, a draft horse and a cart. Yeah, he can do that.
Very good. Have it prepared for us. We'll be heading out swiftly.
All right. So did you guys...
a little bit of food, some torches.
Yeah, I was going to say,
what
provender are you guys getting? We're going, by the way, not that at the moment cost is a huge factor. Hey, Mr. Grooves, how are you? Cost is not a huge factor, but there is just keeping track of what you want. What is available is generally in the player's handbook. When in doubt, ask me. No, you're not getting any kind of sailing ship, so don't ask me that. We'll take the large galley or the a warship. How about that? No, you're not getting that much. So basic equipment, basic adventuring equipment can be yours.
I'll go ahead and get in the player's handbook. When it lists under miscellaneous, like case, comma, leather, comma, map or scroll, that comes with the paper, right? Or is that just a case?
I think paper's separate.
Yeah, it's.
I can't. For some reason, I'm just not seeing it.
It's not on this list.
A ream of parchment is a silver piece.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get enough and a case to make our map, and I guess a quill, right? And ink.
Yeah,
How much is all that?
that should be covered by Robilar, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Like I said, within reason. Nobody is like, yeah, I want to buy a holy water font, or I want to get a Matic of the Titans or something like that. Mundane equipment within reason, Robilar is willing to let your party equip themselves with.
I'll check around for like a grappling hook and plenty of rope.
50 feet of rope, or rope in 50-foot sections, they can do definitely. And a grapnel is, let's see. Let's have a gander. Yeah, grapnel is no problem.
Okay. I guess 50 feet of rope for each of us.
Yeah.
That'll work.
That's
and then
cool.
the grapnel, at least one grapnel.
All right.
And maybe a box of chalk to help mark our way through the labyrinthine halls of the tunnels underneath.
Since we're doing that part, I'll just say let's get a bunch of food, some torches, some oil, put it in the cart.
I don't think we need torches.
Yeah, I don't think we'll need torches. The oil might come in handy.
You can't write with Introvision, or so my
Well,
reading.
that's true. That's true.
We'll need light sometimes.
Maybe some candles.
All right. All within acceptable realm of what he's willing to give you. And for our listeners, I just want to point this out. The party is basically buying their equipment on credit right now that they will have to pay back. When you're running your AD&D games, don't feel compelled to just give the players equipment and other items that they didn't earn. If you don't want to do it, if you want to count every copper piece, then absolutely. I prefer doing that, but we're just kind of moving at a steady pace today.
Okay. I believe, do we have everything covered now? Do we have feed for the horses, or for the horse? Can we get some feed for the horse, I guess?
Yep.
Yes. That
Okay.
is,
At least a day's worth, or how much ever we can get.
No,
Yeah.
let's get several days worth.
Well, I mean, I figured that the wherever we leave it at the homily or whatever, where we leave it, they may have some stuff there to feed it with.
Yeah. But if we get it now, it's on Robilar's credit card, not ours.
That's true. That's true. Put it on tab. At least a week's worth, maybe two.
all right. So just so we're clear, like a couple of weeks worth is
That's a lot.
that's a lot.
Especially for just one horse. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like 100 pounds of grain.
Okay, we don't need that much.
Let's say 3 days.
That'll work.
Note to anyone listening, I know nothing about the keeping of horses. I'll just say. Don't at me.
How much wine do we need?
All of it.
Just a barrel. Just give us a standard butt of wine.
Yeah.
And in case you're, for those of you who are interested, a butt, I believe, is one of those barrels that's big enough to walk into. So
Yeah.
So when somebody says a buttload, they mean a lot. They mean a lot.
Perhaps a few sacks as well to drag some of the treasure back out if we gain a lot, or our bones if we don't win, if we don't survive.
Robilar said 10% of what if we pull out. That's a body. That's what we get.
Here's an arm. Okay. I'm good with what we've stated so far.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, I think we're set.
Now, as far as personal equipment, leather armor for your thiefly types, basically any armor and weapons. You guys have got all that?
I've got my own.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. So I take it you're leaving just now that you've got all your provisions?
What time of day is it?
It's getting everything together took a couple of hours, so it is about 2 afternoon. Yeah, 2 bells from the clock tower there in Greyhawk.
We could probably travel till dusk and then make camp.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
And away we go.
Okay, so let's see here. You depart the city of Greyhawk, the rolling fields and plains, and it's, still fairly dense suburbs, for lack of a better term, outside the city. So you're not worried that you'll encounter anything too untowards as you ride on into the evening. And indeed, your evening travels take you to the edge, the far northwestern edge of the farmlands. In fact, the closest farms are still close enough that you can just faintly see smoke from fires in fireplaces to the southeast as you settle in for the night. And based on... Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say Cal offers to take first watch.
All right.
What's the weather like at this point? Is it temperate, like nice, or?
It is.
Cold?
It is. Let's see. I get to use that awesome World of Greyhawk weather in the World of Greyhawk. So,
Dude, that's like more complicated than like the Gamma World Identify artifact chart.
no,
It's
I'm talking
crazy.
about the automated one on the web. Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not using the thing in the web. So if you're curious, listeners, let me share this with you. One of the admonishments that Gary said about time, and I think it's as equally important, is to kind of keep track of weather in the world of Greyhawk, or weather in your campaign world, regardless of it, if it's Greyhawk or not, because it helps your world live. It helps your world breathe a little bit more. So let's take a look at this. We're going to do Fahrenheit. We're going to do 24 hours. Proper wind. So the average. And it, as I said, it is this time of year. So it is ready reet. It is autumn. And you guys are on the plains in about the 40th latitude. So we click that, and we'll say, just for convenience sake, that it is the first day. So the day is warm, but by the time the sun goes down, it begins to get cold. But the sky is clear, and it's breezy. So it is Star Day. It is Star Day, the first day of the week. So day in the 40, night in the upper 30s. Sun goes down.
Okay.
Sun goes down about. Your best estimate is around 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, no. That's sunrise, genius. The sun is going down about just a little before 6 o'clock. But you are out on the plains, so there is plenty of sunlight down until it dips below the limb of the earth. So who said they were taking the first watch?
That would be me, Cal.
Okay. All right. Now, are you right next to the road, or do you wander out into the fields to encamp?
What do you guys think? I'm good with being out in the field.
I think the deal is it's so cold we're not going to get away with a cold camp. I mean, I don't think. I guess, Bill, it's a question. So at that point, if we have to have a bonfire, it doesn't matter where we are, you know?
Yeah.
Should pull off the road a little bit at least, but not try to hide. Not trying to hide.
No.
Getting out of the way.
All right. So whoever is on watch late in the evening, and actually the noise is enough that awakens you all. There is an armed patrol riding by on the road. Their horses' hooves clattering on the stones and packed earth of the road that you're camped near. You all have infravision. You can look out away from the fire and give your eyes a moment to adjust. Do you keep the fire going through the night, or just set a bonfire and then let it burn down during the night?
I mean, it probably has to be fed a little bit.
Okay.
You know.
All right.
I mean, it's like you said, it's like 30, right? It's like freezing. Like, I think we have to keep it going.
Yeah.
Sure. And I'm presuming you've got a tent or tents, plural. I'm not going to be so cruel as to say you have army half shelters, aka the useless item. I wasn't even in, and I know that thing is useless garbage. I have enough friends who were in the military who have said, yeah, shelter half is basically the Army's way of saying, here's 5 pounds of nylon to carry around. You'll never use it, and if you try to, you'll just wind up throwing yourself on the ground and sleeping where you fall in frustration. So whatever arrangements you have for sleeping, near midnight, a patrol passes by. Do you hail them, speak to them?
No.
All right. They ride on, and the next morning dawns. It is Sunday. It's a little cooler than it was the previous day, and it's overcast. The wind is coming out of the west as you break your fast, and I'm assuming that you ride on, that you continue on.
Yes.
Yep.
All
Yeah.
right.
One quick question about that patrol. Did we notice like insignia or anything?
It was dark. They may
Okay.
have had a pennant, but you didn't see what it might have been.
Okay.
This close to the city, you can only imagine that they're, at the very worst, chartered mercenaries, because they didn't stop and gig you all with lances and leave you to dry in the cold sun the next morning.
Okay.
So you travel on, and there's little to report on the plains. And just you're starting to see some moors and low rolling hills around you, but mostly lowlands filled with water, tamarack stands, that sort of thing. And you pass you come near an inn around noon, and it is it looks fairly new, actually. It looks like it's been built really recently. The ground is still turned. There's piles of unused masonry and lumber here and again. It looks like perhaps they're going to build on more to it, but hanging from a sign near the road, you see Last Chance Travelers Inn. And there are some dwarves and gnomes, mostly humans, working steadily on a curtain wall around it.
And this is just standalone, like it's not a settlement.
It is
It's just
not.
out
It
here?
is not. It is not a settlement. It is a single road in.
Okay. And you said they're building a wall around it?
Yeah, just a standard, like chest high curtain wall sort of thing that you would see around a place like this to,
Keep out the riffraff.
yeah, keep out the riffraff. It would give bandits pause and so on. This close to the road, although the roads are becoming faint, you suspect it could fall under the protection of a patrol if need be. And there are a couple, although they're sitting in chairs, kind of leaned back against the side of the building near the entrance. There are a couple of fellows in leather armor with crossbows, and they regard you as you ride by. But this may well be
The last chance to
yes.
stop and catch our breath before we dive into the depths.
Just so.
The last bathroom on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use it if you need to.
Do they
So this
do they have stables and everything there where we can leave the horse and in the cart?
There's a paddock, yes.
Okay. Well, fellows, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, let's stop in. If we're gonna intend to keep going to the castle and assuming we live, like we're gonna rub elbows with these folks at some point. So let's do it now.
We turn into their area there.
All right. The workers regard you just barely as you ride by. This is your standard traveler's inn. It's sort of L-shaped. The armed men stand up. You drawing closer now, you can see each one has a stout oaken club shod in iron at their hip and a crossbow in a case. One of them reaches up and touches his helm in greeting and says, "Travelers, there is hot food and good mead within. Cause no trouble, and you will receive no trouble." And he opens the door for you.
I'm gonna flip him a copper and be like,
He grabs it and bows to you. "My lord."
stable our horses or our horse.
You'll have to take that up with the ostler inside.
All right, I tease a silver piece and put it back in my pouch.
He
I'm just
smiles and regards you in a friendly way.
Okay, I'm picturing the gnome being just kind of a little bit sarcastic and having fun with people and stuff. So
he picks up on your sarcasm and kind of gives you a lopsided, sardonic smile back.
all right.
Head on in.
All right. It's fairly quiet. There's a couple of what you guess must be local drovers or farmers. The barkeep is a woman with straw-colored hair in a plain dress. "Hail, travelers, welcome."
Good day.
What
I
brings
want
you?
some bleeping beer. It's just Fang swearing. Want some beer? Hey, I've got a 3 charisma. What can I do?
She folds her arms across her chest and says very tartly right back to you, "You'll watch your tongue in my establishment."
I feel like Linrick kind of like looks at her and points over at the half orc, like does this kind of thing, just take it easy on him. He's a little,
Fang is smart enough to know that he will keep his mouth shut so he can get a beer.
All right. She seems a lot more friendly to Limerick and
Cal.
Well, Cal didn't say anything. She's responding.
Cal's kind of quiet in this
Okay.
respect. He's reserved.
But she says, a pitcher of porter is 2 silver. But it's the finest you'll find within a league. And
I'll
it occurs
flip
to you
a couple of silver on the table.
It occurs to you it's probably the only you'll find within a league. So,
Therefore, the best.
so yeah, she brings over a pitcher of cool porter, and not Cole Porter. And it's fine. It's a nice heavy black beer. It's got a good heady flavor to it. I'm not going to go all beer advocate on you guys. So for those of you who've been wondering, when the half-orc, when Fang said, I want a blanket beer, I rolled a reaction roll on percentile dice, NPC reaction rolls. It was very low. If Cal was by himself, she might have whistled for the guards, and he found himself getting butt stroked by crossbows.
And I've got a minus 25 reaction bonus. So
yeah, so she was just dead ass not going to give you a single thing.
yeah.
Fortunately, the gnome. What's your gnome's charisma, Russ?
11.
11. Okay, so standard. That got a 99. So that basically, so that kind of saved your bacon there. So yeah, a minus 25, and the reaction roll that I rolled. And if you want to look, let me see. See if I can find this, because I want our group to, or our listeners. So not surprise reactions. This is not combat. Reaction is in the Dungeon Master's Guide a lot, by the way. On page 63, encounter reactions. So she rolled a 27, I rolled a 27. If you weren't so damn rude, that would have been uncertain but prone towards negative. But because you have a mouth like an open sewer, her reaction nominally should have been violently hostile immediate attack. She doesn't
Smack you across the face.
She doesn't have a lot of custom, so I figure her throwing a full pitcher at your head and saying, "There's your GD beer, you filthy half pig man," would have been a little beneath her station. So looking at the encounter reaction table, you don't necessarily have to. Violently hostile immediate attack can, in social situations, not mean, swords are drawn and blood is spilled because, the orc has all the breeding of a mule. So that's what I did in this.
Attack me. She verbally attacked me. So that I had.
Did you feel attacked? Did you feel attacked? And then when I rolled the reaction for the gnome, it was 90, which again, if you look on page 63, a roll of 90, friendly immediate action. So, the ill breeding of the half orc was balmed over by the gnome's kindness and, just her desire to see you standing out in the garden next to her begonias. So there you are at the inn. You have had, if we average it out, it's about a neutral reaction. She was really pissed off at the half orc, but then really happy about the gnome. So it kind of evens out. Now I have the bottom of the hour. And I just need to make sure, because Rusty, I know, this is the middle of a work day for you. So, and I usually, the show usually goes for an hour and 15 minutes. So, participants, tell me how much more do you guys want to play, or is this a good pausing point?
I feel like if we're here, we're going to rest. There's nothing eventful here, and we're going to the dungeon next. That's probably a good spot to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's and I just want to touch on this. That's a good DMing thing to know, to understand, of course, is to know how long your players can play. My Monday night game, I would drag those people straight into 4 a.m. with me if I could. Granted, that would not be 4 a.m. for most of my players on the left coast, but still, it would be exceptionally late at night because I have screwed up sleep cycles, and I would gladly do it. Sometimes as a DM, you might think, oh, okay, well, I'll just play, I'll just run a game for an hour. But then everybody else at the table is, no, keep going. We want to keep going. And you're like, but I only have an hour's worth of game planned, guys. Always have more. When you're doing game prep, always have more, especially if you're not comfortable with improv. So if if you think your group is only going to go for an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, but you have an enthusiastic group of players, which that's what we all hope for, you can immediately say, haha, we'll keep going, which is a place where published modules can really help. So if you're only planning, quote unquote, for the party to go another 100 feet and they want to completely clear off the dungeon level, you've got it all prepared already. Not that you have to have a module under those circumstances. That's not what I'm saying. But those are just things to keep in mind. And I'll pause and we'll touch on them. But overall, guys, I hope you all had fun in session 1.
So far, so good.
And
Yep.
we will not yet. And hopefully next Tuesday, because we'll be back next Tuesday with the game. Hopefully, 1, my camera will be behaving, and 2, we will have our 4th player back. And this is another thing. Events such as this, where you quote unquote pause the game, is an ideal place for a new player to jump in. You don't have to go with you find him manacled in an orc stronghold in the dungeon. Excuse. Here you're at a traveler's inn. Another player can join at this point.
Yeah.
So this is a great place for that kind of thing. So thank you all to the audience today. Thank you for the game participants. We'll be back with this party next Tuesday for another session of First Edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I hope everyone had a good time.
Definitely.
Good.
Yep. Nice to meet you guys too.
You too. Can't wait to play again next week.
Yes.
Yep.
It's going to be a stone groove, and I thank everyone for participating. And check us out in the Discord, because I'm sure there's going to be people wanting to talk about this on the Discord. So everybody have an absolutely stellar day, and we will see you all